Hi everybody. Today we're going to take you through our steps on how we build our dart frog terrariums here at Major League Exotics. Now if you bought a kit from us, it's going to come with everything. And I mean everything you need to get your terrarium going, including the plants and frogs. So let's start. So the first thing you're going to get is this Frog & Co. terrarium. It's really great and designed for dart frogs. So let's start by taking the lid off. You're going to push the button on the top, then get the lid so it's straight up, and then it will pull straight out, as you can see here. Then we're going to remove everything off the terrarium and put our gloves on. Yes, you're going to get lots of gloves from us, and it's really important you're using them through most of the steps here. Now I've gone ahead and turned the terrarium on its back. This gives me easy access to the top, because I really like how these cork pieces look in the background. So I want to take some time now and play around with them to see how I might want them to look. Because later we're going to spray some spray foam, and we're going to push these into it, and we're not going to have really much of a chance to change it once we do that. So I really want to take some time, see what aesthetic I like. And in this case, I feel like this piece is too big and I want to break it in half. So a lot of these pieces are really easy just to break with your hand. And that's what I did here. So after playing around with some different configurations, I kind of figure out one that I really like. And in this case, the one that's on the back, or the one that's on the ground right now, but it's really the back wall, kind of has a gap in the top. And I really like it this way because I can stick some plants into there later. So that's the aesthetic I'm going to go with. For now, I'm going to set these pieces aside and move on to the next step. Now for the next step, we're going to use the silicone. So again, make sure you have your gloves on because you really don't want to get any silicone on you. And you're also going to use your hands to rub the silicone in. The silicone is important because it helps the spray foam adhere. If you don't use this step and you skip it, after a couple of days, the spray foam might come off the walls. So you really don't want to skip this step. So after getting as much silicone as I can along the back, which is the down part right now, I'm going to use my hands and rub it in. Now you don't have to do the very bottom of the terrarium because you're going to have your drainage layer and your soil there. You don't have to get it exact. It's okay if you do go too far down because you're going to cover it anyway with some soil. Now I don't like to spray foam the full sides. I only like to do a portion, as you can see here. So that's why I've only siliconed part of the sides. But it's important that you're siliconing whatever amount you want your background to be. Now the next step is going to be the spray foam. At this point, I've already used the silicone on my fingers, so I do like to change gloves, but that's up to you. So for the spray foam, I'm just going to spray the whole bottom part of the tank. Now I want to go in different patterns here. I don't want to do the same because this is going to give it a more natural texture. Now, some people like to let it dry and then turn it on its side to do the sides. Because I'm only doing kind of a portion of the sides, and I have the silicone that's dried just a little bit, but not too much, the spray foam will adhere to the sides even this way. So I find this to be just an easier way for me to do it. So I go ahead and just spray foam the sides. And remember, I'm spray foaming the exact areas I have the silicone. Now I don't want to give it too long here because we have a couple of steps that we need to do before the spray foam really starts to harden. So I want to remember where I had those cork pieces, and I want to go ahead and place them now. Now it can be a little bit of a challenge to place the cork pieces on the side, as you can see here, because it is sideways and can just fall over. So after a little bit of playing around and holding it, I did get it to stay. Now I'm going to take my spray foam, and then I want to go ahead and spray around the cork pieces, just so I kind of lock it in, as you see here. Now I'm also going to hit any spots that I might have missed earlier. Now remember, this foam's going to expand, so it's okay if you miss some spots, but try to get as much as you can. Now I'm not overdoing the spray foam, because you could see right there at that top piece, I have that little gap there. I'm going to stick some plants in there, so I don't want to do too much spray foam. You could also cut the spray foam away once it dries, but the reason we're doing the method I like right now is it skips that step of cutting, because I really hate that step, as that step's just a lot of work and really messy. Instead, what we're going to do is, while the spray foam is still wet, we're going to take our cocoa bark pieces that we've sent you, and we're going to go ahead and just stick it into the background. We're going to get it everywhere, and it's okay to use a lot here because whatever doesn't adhere, it's just going to fall off later. So really take your time, get as much in as you can, and really push it down. Now I'm also going to add some of the soil into this. What I wish I would have did was mix the soil with the cork pieces earlier, the cork fibers earlier, but I didn't do it. So I added some soil pieces after and kind of just pushed it in there. Make sure you're also doing the sides. Again, a lot of this is going to fall off as you're doing it, and that's okay. Just get a lot of it on there. Once I'm done, we're going to let this sit for 24 hours, and we'll come back tomorrow and finish the build. Okay, it's a day later, and we're ready for the next step. Before we flip the tank over, we want to attach the drainage to the bottom here. So I'm just going to take everything out of the box. I'm going to get the hose ready, and then we're going to go ahead and attach this. And you'll notice the drain comes in two pieces, so just unscrew it here. So unscrew it here, and you'll see the O-ring, this little plastic piece. This goes on the bottom part. You'll see it just kind of fits right into the groove. So now I'm going to put those aside. I'm going to turn the terrarium to the side so I can get to the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and put the top piece through the terrarium and the bottom piece underneath. I'm just going to twist it on. Now you want to get this tight, but not too tight so it breaks. You don't really want to deal with broken pieces. You'll be able to feel it when it's nice and tight. Now next, go ahead and grab your hose and attach your hose. It's good to figure out what end you want the hose to come out of the tank, whether it be the back, right, or left now, so you can set that up when you flip it. The terrarium also comes with the right angle, so you can cut the hose and then attach the right angle. I just don't see a need to use it, so I don't use it. Okay, now I take the end of the hose, and I'm going to take the bottom piece, and it should just slide right on. Takes a little bit of force. Then I'm going to go ahead and turn it so it's nice and tight. And that is it. We have our release valve. So we're going to go ahead and move the tubing out of the way. And we're going to go ahead and flip the tank over. And we're going to watch all the excess pieces fall off. Then we're going to try to use our hand and just get as much of that excess off as we can. Now, I really like the way this background came out. It looks really natural to me. And again, this is just a start. Once we add the rest of the decor, it's really going to come together. But I much prefer this method versus the scraping and cutting out the spray foam and then painting it with dry lock. This is much easier, and I like this aesthetic much more. So now we're going to try to remove all this excess, and we're going to move on to the next step. So now it's time to add our drainage layer. We're going to send you the exact amount. I think they're called hydro balls, but they're sometimes other names. But we're going to send you the exact amount that you need. So go ahead and open up either 1 or 2 bags, depending on what we sent you. And then get them in there. And then try to use your hand to just level them out. It's important to note that the front of the terrarium has some ventilation. And that's important for airflow. So we want to make sure that we're never blocking that. Now obviously we have some more steps. So we want to be conscious that we have as much drainage layer as we can, but not too high because we still need to add some other, the soil and the mesh. Okay. Which leads us to the next step, which is adding the mesh. Now this might seem like a simple step, but these meshes are never cut exactly to size. So sometimes there's a little bit of excess. I try to get that excess more towards the back. The important thing is to just make sure that it's spread out so that once we add the soil on top, it's not going to leak into the drainage layer. Take your time in getting this mesh right. It does take a little bit of finessing. Once you're done with that, you're going to go ahead and open up the soil and just drop the soil directly on top. Now our soils are a mix of different substrates, so make sure that once you get it in there, you're really mixing it up, as you can see here. Next, I'm going to try to level out the soil so that it's not covering that front ventilation. Now, it's okay if you want to do different heights towards the back. Just make sure that the front, again, is not covering that ventilation. That airflow is very important. Now, the next step is my absolute favorite. It's placing all the decor items. In our kit, we've sent you lots of stuff. You're going to have a cocoa hut. You're going to have other pieces of wood. You're going to have maybe even that cork piece that I didn't use earlier I can use here. And we're going to send you a bunch of plants. So take your time, place all these items in different places to see what aesthetic you like. But more importantly, you want to try to give the frogs lots of places to climb. Because you want to utilize as much of the tank as you can. This way it gives them more real estate. They're going to most likely, depending on the species, want to climb and use the space. So do your best to configure your tank so that they have things to climb on. It's also important to note you want to give them places to hide. While most dart frogs are bold, they're still going to want places to hide. Now, there are some species that tend to be more shy, and actually giving them lots of hiding places allows them to be more visible throughout the day. I know that sounds crazy, but for the frogs that are more shy, by giving them lots of places to hide, they might think they're hiding in spots, but you actually could see them there. So that's a way to still have your shy frogs be more visible. Also, as a real life example, I have Costa Rican green and blacks, and when I first got them, they were super shy. I mean, like, I almost never saw them. Sometimes I would catch them in passing, and then boom, they would hide almost immediately. But by giving them lots of hiding places, and then after some time, literally it was about a year, it took a good amount of time, they got to know me. And now they're out all the time. I mean, to the point where if they're out and I open up the terrarium door, they don't even hide. They just stand there and look at me. I guess they know I'm the one who feeds them now. But giving them hiding places is just super important. It allows them to feel safe, and it allows you to also see them more often. So again, the two most important things here, give them places to climb and give them places to hide. Also, by creating lots of hiding places, you're probably naturally creating some dry areas. Remember, your frogs need high humidity, so they're going to seek out the wet spots and sometimes the dry spots depending on what they need. So by creating lots of hiding spots, you're naturally creating areas that are going to be more dry than others, assuming that you have a good misting cycle. So again here, take your time, place the items as you see fit. So now I've got my cocoa hut in the back. You probably can't see it anymore, but it's back there. I've placed a couple pieces of wood and a piece of cork, and I feel like this is giving them really good places to climb and hide. So now I'm going to place some of my plants. So we're going to send you a good amount of plants in our kit that are perfect for dart frogs. Some are going to be bromeliads, some are going to be other species. Remember, with the bromeliads that we send you, they do not go into the soil. So you can place these in different areas throughout the terrarium. So that's why I like to place the wood pieces and the cork pieces the way I did. So I can actually place my bromeliads kind of in between and behind them without having to stick them into the spray foam. I much prefer this. It makes it much easier to move them later as they grow. Because sometimes these bromeliads will get big and you will need to take them out of the tank and replace them. There will also probably create pups, like offshoots, basically baby bromeliads, that you're going to probably want to cut out and maybe trade or grow outside of your terrarium. So now I've placed most of my plants, and I'm really liking how this is looking. And you remember that space I had on top, the cork bark that I left there? I'm actually going to stick some soil in there. Then I'm going to go ahead and stick a soil plant up there. And I really love the way this is coming out. Now I have a couple more plants to place. I'm going to put some of the moss in here. Some people like to break the moss up and then glue them onto the pieces of wood. I do that sometimes, but in this case I'm just going to place them on the ground. And then the next step after that is leaf litter. And leaf litter is super, super important. You want to use lots of it. You may not like the way it looks on the bottom, but this emulates the frog's natural habitat in the wild. So you're going to want to use lots and lots of leaf litter. Now I just want to mist all the plants down, give them some water. So in this case, I'm using the store's industrial mister, but our kit's going to come with a handheld mister. So just go ahead and take some tap water and give it a good mist. If you have RO water, feel free to use that also. So after the misting, I'm going to go ahead and reattach the lid. Okay. Then I'm going to open up the light that we've sent you in the kit. We're always going to send you a light that's perfect for dart frogs and that's great for plant growth. After that, we're almost done. And I think this terrarium came out absolutely amazing. I really love it. Now the very last step is to make the terrarium bioactive. So I'm going to take my springtails and isopods and I'm just going to dump them right in there to the bottom. And that's it. Our tank is ready for dart frogs. Now some people like to let the tank grow out and establish itself, and they like to wait, anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks, some people longer. But that's not necessary. So when you're ready at this point, all you got to do is reach out to us and we're going to send you the next shipment, which is the frogs. That's how we build our terrariums here at Major League Exotics. And again, our kit is going to come with everything you see here. There might be some substitutions, but it's going to be everything you need, and you should be able to follow this video step by step to build a terrarium just like we did here. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. We're here to help.